The Senate will convene in 30 seconds. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen, Anderson, Bates, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Cannella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Glazer, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Lada, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morlock, Morrell, Wynn, Nilsson, Pan, Pavley, Roth, Runner, Stone, Vidak, Wykowski, Wolk.
A quorum is present. Members, please rise, and our guests beyond the gallery, please rise. We will be led in prayer this morning by our guest chaplain, Reverend Mary Jane Ryan Connolly, chaplain for the Sierra Nevada Memorial Hospital. After which, please remain standing, and we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Senator Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good morning to everyone. Today, I wanted to celebrate summer. And by way of an invocation, allow me to share a poem with you entitled Morning Magic. So settle back. Now, I was picturing you being in chairs, but you can do this standing. So imagine that you are comfortably seated in a chair and that you are noticing the utter silence that prevails just before the sun rises. So, morning magic. I woke this morning to the summoning sound of an immense stillness which held all creation bound. I quietly left my bed, stepping softly to the shore, afraid to wake the universe. Asleep before me laid the lake, held in mountain's firm embrace. The breezes, too, lay quietly in the wings, not daring to mar Lady Water's face. And while all looked away, awaiting the sun, tell no one of this. I woke the world myself, diving into the lake full of bliss. Senators, staff, and guests, may you each dive into this new day with bliss and thanksgiving for divine creation, so noticeably present around us at this flourishing time of year. May we take time to honor the beauty and harmony of the divine handiwork of summer and draw fresh, new energy from it, taking us mindfully through the day, its work, its decisions, and its actions. On that topic, we would also want to be mindful of our fellow Californians who are suffering much loss in the current fires, and of our firefighters, public servants, meeting enormous challenges in their effort to control the fires and protect all of us. We send our thoughts and blessings to them as we go about our daily duties here. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Senator Monning, for what purpose do you rise?
Yes, Madam President. Democratic Caucus, please, in the Maddie Lounge, Democratic Caucus. Members not on the floor, please join us in the Maddie Lounge.
Thank you, Senator Monning. And we will move to Assembly third reading. Seeing no objection, we're going to start with item 164. Senator Pan. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 1674 by Assemblymember Santiago, enacting to firearms.
Senator Pan.
Thank you, Madam President. Senators, I'm proud to present AB 164 by Assemblymember Santiago. AB 1674 caps the amount of firearms that may be purchased by a person at one per month, the same restriction that currently is in place for handguns. Historically, policymakers have believed that the bulk of gun violence is perpetuated by handguns. However, recent data collection efforts have shown that that assumption is incorrect. In fact, of the 26,682 crime guns entered into the DOJ's automated firearms system database in 2009, 11,500 were long guns. In fact, today, after clearing a background check and waiting 10 days, the law allows a person to walk out of a gun store with as many as 10 or 100 long guns at a time if he or she wanted it. So certainly it should be concerning that a person, no matter what their intentions, could purchase as many rifles or shotguns that they want at any given time. So it is past time for us to treat long guns the same as handguns. They hold equal powers of destruction and certainly create major problems for law enforcement and society in general when they fall in the wrong hands. Senators, I respectfully ask for an aye vote on AB 1674.
Thank you, Senator Pan. Members, is there any discussion or debate? Discussion or debate? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Anderson. Bates. No. Bell. Berryhill. No. Block. Aye. Canella. No. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Gaggioni. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Wisso. Huff. Jackson. Aye. Latta. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. No. Morrell. No. Wynn. No. Nielsen. No. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. No. Runner. Stone. No. Vidak. No. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk. Huff, no. Anderson, no.
Please call the absent members.
Allen. Aye. Bell. Aye. Galgiani. Hueso. Runner, Wolk.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ayes 22, noes 14. The measure passes. Members, we are now moving to file item 165, Senator Jackson. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 1695 by Assemblymember Bonta, enacting to firearms.
Senator Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President and colleagues. I rise to present AB 1695 by Assemblymember Bonta, which seeks to address straw purchases by cracking down on the false reporting of guns as lost or stolen. AB 1695 clarifies that filing a report that a gun has been lost or stolen, knowing that report to be false, is a misdemeanor. It also prohibits that person from owning or purchasing a firearm for 10 years. The recent floor amendments clarify that filing a false report is a misdemeanor under current law and includes chaptering out language. Filing this false report is understood to be a common tactic of straw purchasers who legally purchase a gun with the intent to illegally resell it and who are trying to place distance between themselves and the crime gun. While making a false report to law enforcement is currently a misdemeanor, by adding those who file these false reports to the prohibited persons list, we hope will prevent those straw purchasers from behaving in such a fashion and certainly deterring them from doing it in the first place. This is a complementary approach to my bill, SB 894, which requires gun owners to report a lost or stolen firearm within 5 days. This bill is supported by the California Police Chiefs Association, as well as many others. And with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Jackson. Members, is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. No. Bates. No. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. No. Block. Aye. Canella. No. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Galgiani. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Wesso. Huff. No. Jackson. Aye. Lada. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. No. Morrell. No. Wynn. No. Nielsen. No. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. No. Runner. Stone. No. Vidak. No. Ikowski. Aye. Wolk.
Please call the absent members.
Galgiani. Wesso. Aye. Runner. Wolk.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ayes 23, noes 14. The measure passes. Members, we're moving to file item 166. Senator Hall, are you ready? Very good. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 1673 by Assemblymember Gibson, enacting to firearms.
Yes, Madam President and Senators, AB 1673 will expand the definition of a firearm so that incomplete lower receivers are treated the same way as complete receivers, requiring a background check to purchase and serial number to identify the owner. A complete lower receiver houses the operating parts of a gun, which is what allows it to fire. Currently, people are able to buy a lower receiver that are incomplete without any checks, but can easily convert them into complete lower receivers. This stands in contrast to purchasing complete lower receivers that require the purchaser to undergo a background check and ensure that there is, in fact, a serial number. These incomplete receivers have no other purpose than to be used to make a gun, and for this reason, should be registered and kept out of the hands of prohibited persons. The bill will allow law enforcement to better be able to track the sale of critical gun parts and keep them out of the hands of people who pose a threat to public safety. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Hall. Members, discussion or debate? Senator Nielsen.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the last some 17 years, there have been countless bills, I think nearly 20 bills, in this general area. supposedly to cut down gun violence. And most gun violence is not committed by rifles. And most gun violence is not committed by law-abiding citizens. It's committed by criminals. Violence in our communities has continued to rise, particularly in very recent years, in no small measure pursuant to policies of the California legislature. Continued to rise, notwithstanding all of these bills that have compromised our Second Amendment rights. So what has been the merit of all of these bills that have compromised our Second Amendment rights? Have they helped cut down on gun violence? No, they have not. Because truly it is not the gun. It is the human being. And we need to, and we ought to, focus on the human being. They are the ones who will accomplish and get the guns. Will this legislation stop the gangs from filling their arsenals? No. Would it have stopped any of the mass killers of late from acquiring the weapons of their destruction? No. Would it have stopped the Paris bombers from finding a device other than a gun to commit their heinous crime? No. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge a no vote.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. Members, any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll. Mr. Hall, would you like to Senator Hall, would you like to close?
Of course, sure. Respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Hall. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. No. Bates. No. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. No. Block. Aye. Canella. No. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Galgiani. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Weso. Aye. Huff. No. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. No. Morrell. No. Wynn. No. Nielsen. No. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. No. Runner. Stone. No. Vidak. No. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk.
Please call the absent members.
Galgiani. Runner. Wolk.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ayes 23, noes 14. That measure passes. Members, we're moving to file item 140. Senator Jackson. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 2607 by Assemblymember Ting, enacting to firearms.
Senator Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President and colleagues. AB 2607 is part of the Assembly's gun bill package. Existing law pursuant to AB 1014 was implemented this year and was modeled after California's domestic violence restraining order procedures. Existing law allows a law enforcement officer or an immediate family member to petition the court to issue a gun violence restraining order, which we're now calling GVROs, prohibiting dangerous persons from having a firearm and purchasing a new one. It allows for the removal of firearms from individuals who are at risk for committing acts of violence. This measure logically expands upon the pool of people who can request a GVRO by adding an employer, a coworker, a mental health worker, or an employee of a high school or college to request the courts to issue a GVRO. Family members, coworkers, employers, teachers, and mental health workers are the most likely to see early warning signs if someone is becoming a danger to themselves or others. In these circumstances, allowing those closest to an individual to seek a GVRO can prevent a gun-related tragedy before it happens. I believe, colleagues, that, again, we have those protections because there will have to be a motion made to the court as to whether or not there is sufficient evidence to indicate concern which would warrant a GVRO. And as is the case under existing law, the person affected by the order cannot possess or purchase a firearm while the order is in effect, but regains his or her right to possess firearm when the order either expires or is revoked by the court. And with that, I would ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Jackson. Members, discussion and debate. Senator Nielsen.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I'm not at all unfamiliar with this. I've had to secure restraining orders of people who've, well, let's just say stalked. And I've had to have law enforcement parked out in front of my house because of threats over the years. But this, I believe, goes a little bit too far. Individuals could exploit this, I think, to a higher degree than is necessary. And it's a part of, I think, capitalizing on some very unfortunate situations, I think, to compromise the public. And we have seen recently the fail-safe mechanisms that we have already had in place, if used, that have prevented some of these problems. The very owner of a gun store recently did report to the FBI, and had those red flags been heeded then, a problem well could have been avoided. I argue we have the protections in place. We do have restraining orders that can now be achieved. We do not need to extend it further.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. Senator Cannella.
I just have a question for the manager, and I apologize. I should have told you
Senator
about
Jackson,
that before.
will you take a question?
So, who can request a restraining order now? I mean, how does the current process
It's
work?
a family member. If I'm not mistaken, we have family members and I think mental health professionals.
Okay. Okay. Well, just on my own time, thank you. We're adding coworkers, so I don't know if you've ever had coworkers that you haven't gotten along with. This seems like now this could turn into something that coworkers that are hostile to each other, that would never reach the point of violence, can now use and abuse the system. So I just don't see the need for this bill, quite frankly. I just think that this is an overreach. So I'm going to be voting no. So.
Thank you, Senator Cannella. Members, is there any further discussion or debate? Senator Jackson, would you like to close?
Thank you very much. I appreciate the concerns. Please, colleagues, remember that an order doesn't automatically issue because someone goes to court requesting it. In fact, it will require sufficient cause for a judge to issue a temporary restraining order, thus, and then to be followed by a more lengthy order pending a resolution of the issues that are presented to that judge. There's a concern that, well, the courts are going to be flooded. Since our current law has been in place, there have been a total of 30 gun violence restraining orders issued in the first 6 months of this year. And currently, there are only 6 that are active. So people do not generally jump to the courts to redress their personal disputes with others. And in fact, there are laws that discourage false filings, which could subject that person who makes the claim to criminal penalties themselves. This is designed to try to protect against a tragedy just waiting to happen. There have been so many that we have heard about recently with coworkers. If there had been an opportunity to intervene.
Thank you. A little noisy.
If there had been an opportunity to intervene, perhaps in San Bernardino or in other places, which are not even made public because they're so common in the workplace. I know we had an incident in Goleta several years ago with coworkers who were shot in a post office, 6 workers killed. If we had this tool available, and it's one that it cannot be used indiscriminately. You have to show a court that there's just cause for the issuance of this order. I believe this is another tool in a toolbox that will help protect lives going forward, and it does have the support of a variety of different groups. including the California Teachers Association, Parent Teachers Association, the Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, the San Francisco District Attorney, among many, many others. I would ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Jackson. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. No. Bates. No. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. No. Block. Aye. Canella. No. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Galgiani. Glazer. No. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Hill. Aye. Wesso. Huff. No. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. No. Morrell. No. Wynn. No. Nilsson. No. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Runner. Stone. No. Vidak. No. Wykowski.
Please call the absent members.
Galgiani. Hertzberg. Wesso. Mendoza. Roth. Runner. Wykowski. Wolk.
We will move the bill to call. Thank you. Members, we are now going to move to privileges of the floor. Senator Berryhill, are you ready? File item 75, SCR 156, at the Pro Tem's desk. Mr. Secretary, please read. File item 75.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 156 by Senator Berryhill, relative to the California Conservation Corps.
Senator Berryhill.
Madam President and members, this year marks the 40th anniversary of the California Conservation Corps. The California Conservation Corps signed into law by Governor Brown in 1976 in his first term here. It is the oldest and largest state conservation corps program in the entire country. It didn't happen overnight. From a small beginning in 1996, the men and women of the Corps have clocked 69 million hours of natural resource work throughout the state. They have tackled more than 900 projects a year and provided to nearly 9.6 million hours of emergency response on just about every major California natural disaster. It is with this focus on becoming stronger workers, citizens, and individuals through their service that the 120,000 young men and women who have participated in the CCC over the years have made the Corps the successful and influential program.
Senator Berryhill, may I interrupt you for a moment? Members,
Absolutely.
members and guests in the gallery, we are way too noisy. Please quiet down and give the respect to Senator Berryhill. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. Whether it is planting more than 21 million trees throughout the state, building and maintaining 10,000 miles of backcountry trails, or completing 1.6 million hours of fish habitat improvement work, the Corps works hard to protect and restore California's environment and respond to disasters. In addition to natural resource work, the Corps has focused on advancing education within its membership. Having helped more than 4,000 Corps members work to complete their high school diplomas in the last 3 years, the CCC strives to positively impact Corps members' lives and will continue to improve California's natural resources and recreational opportunities for many years to come. Members, please join me in supporting SCR 156, a measure which recognizes the hard work of the past, present, and future Corps members and the tremendous impact the organization has had on California. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Berryhill. Senator Morlock?
Thank you, Madam President. As someone who is an avid backpacker, in fact, the only days I've missed here in session was backpacking in the Los Padres National Forest, and Senator from Santa Barbara's district. I want to rise in support of the California Conservation Corps because I have caught them working. Whether it's in the San Jacinto Wilderness or the Mount Whitney backcountry on the Eastern Sierras, and I rise in fully support of SCR 156. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Morlock. Senator Nielsen?
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the California Conservation Corps is certainly a great part of the legacy of Governor Brown. It is well that he was around for the creation and now is around for the celebration of their 40th anniversary. I guess in a bit of a manner I have been too. And I've been with them through many of their wonderful contributions in disasters, floods in the Delta, and fires throughout California, floods throughout the Sacramento River, trail clearings, forest and brush cleanings, and assisting on many other emergency situations. I have seen the enthusiasm in these youth. In many cases, how their lives, which were kind of wavering on a pathway that could have been towards destruction, being resurrected to a path of success. I've been a part of their trainings, even through hard-born experience, helping instruct them how to fill and lift sandbags without hurting their backs. I've seen the glowing looks in their faces as they did that hard work. And I've gotten to know some of the heroes like B.T. Collins and Jack Dugan, who made that organization great. We have some of their prodigies right back here with us today. They have contributed greatly. And I will argue that they are still a part of our future even greater. Because within our prisons now, we do not have as many inmates to man our fire crews. And I believe that the CCC should be manned up for the future to provide some of those individuals and to provide more opportunities for our youth to grow, to prosper, and help the state of California. They have been indeed good stewards. I commend them on their 40th year and wish them Godspeed for another 40 years. The California Conservation Corps, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. Senator Hueso?
Thank you, Madam President. I also rise in support of this important resolution. I wanted just simply to also call attention to the local corps that are an extension of this program. This has been a wonderful program to get youth educated and helping with the various challenges facing the state in a way that builds job readiness, job skills, and gets them on track to go into a good and high-paying profession. So I want to commend the author for working on this issue and calling attention to this important group that does so much for California's youth.
Thank you, Senator Hueso. Senator Pavley?
Yes, thank you very much. I can't resist in rising to also celebrate the great work of the Conservation Corps, one of California's best ideas, creating workforce job training, ability for many youth to turn their lives around. If you read the resolution, one thing that struck me is over 4,000 of their members of the Corps received their high school diplomas while with the Corps. In the Los Angeles area, I know they've been very involved with a variety of projects during our energy crisis, passing out light bulbs and assisting in that, and through our drought, of course, wildfires and floods. They've been involved in the LA River. They've been involved in Senator Mitchell's district with the Baldwin Hills Conservancy. And I also wanted to recognize the director of the Conservation Corps, Bruce Sido. Those of you who know him from the LA area, who was head of the LA chapter of the Conservation Corps. He's now your state director. He's done an amazing job and devoted his professional career to making sure the Corps stays in place stronger than ever. And I believe this year in our budget, we've allowed some additional investment into additional facilities. So the Corps, great idea, 40 years. Look forward to a successful future.
Thank you, Senator Pavley. Senator Gaines?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I did also want to take a moment to recognize the California Conservation Corps and the key role that they've played in my district, in particular with the Angora fire, which occurred approximately 9 years ago, where over 200 homes were burned down in the South Lake Tahoe area. And who did the cleanup? It was the CCC. So really appreciate all their efforts and what they've done in this state, and hope they will continue to provide the vital role that is so needed in California. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gaines. Senator Berryhill, would you like to close? Ask for an aye vote. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Berryhill.
Aye.
Aye. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Gagioni. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Wesso. Aye. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Wynn. Aye. Nilsson. Aye. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Aye. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk.
Please call the absent members.
Bell. De Leon. Aye. Runner. Wolk.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ayes 37, noes 0. The measure passes. Senator Berryhill, for what purpose do you rise?
Introduction.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President and members. I ask you to please direct your attention to the back of the room. Celebrating with us here today in recognition of 40 years of the CCC motto, hard work, low pay, miserable conditions, and more. I thought that was the Senate motto. is Corps member Mark Garcia from Norwalk Satellite. Mark, wave. Corps member Sarah Ayala from the Fresno Satellite. And Director Bruce Saito, who has served as director of the CCC since 2015. He has devoted nearly 3 decades to the program, including having spent nearly 10 years in the CCC. They are here along with 300 Corps members today and staff from CCC centers statewide and for great events planned on the west side of the Capitol. I ask you to please extend a warm welcome to Director Saito and our CCC Corps members.
Thank you, Senator Berryhill. Welcome. Members, we will be lifting the call on file item 140, but before we do that, Senator Weso, for what purpose do you rise?
Madam Chair, for an introduction as well.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Madam President, members, 6 years ago, President Obama launched the Young African Leaders Initiative to support and invest in the next generation of African leaders. With almost 60% of the African continent's population under 35 years of age, the initiative acknowledges the critical importance of youth in guiding Africa's future. The prestigious Mandela Washington Fellowship serves as its flagship program, bringing promising African talent to the U.S. for a 6-week program of empowerment through academic coursework, leadership training, and networking. We are very privileged today to be joined in our gallery by 26 Mandela Fellows representing 19 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. This small group is unique in the larger group of over 1,000 fellows studying in 36 universities across the United States. These young men and women have serious expertise in energy. They are already working in these areas, running the gamut from officials, implementing laws and electricity deregulation, to innovators setting up solar kiosks for off-grid villages. Please join me in welcoming, giving a very warm welcome to these exciting young people from Africa, part of the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program. Senators, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Weso. Welcome, fellows, to the California State Senate. Members, we will now lift the call on file item 140. Mr. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Galgiani, Hertzberg, Wesso, Mendoza, Roth, Runner, Wykowski, I, Wolk.
Please call the absent members one more time.
Galgiani, Hertzberg, Wesso, Hertzberg, I, Wesso, I, Mendoza, Roth, Runner, Wolk.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ayes 21, noes 14. The measure passes.
Privileges of the floor. Senator Leyva.
Thank you, Madam President. For purpose of introduction,
Please proceed.
stand up. Members, I would like to introduce to you my oldest daughter, oldest by 1 minute. She was Alexandria Leyva until January. Now she is Alexandria Gronenboom, recently married and still happily married. And she's here to hang out with us today. Thank you.
Welcome, Mrs. Gronenboom.